The holiday season is in full swing, and it's also refreshed the popularity on stage lights as well as LED decor that you might want to place around the house. Hey folks, here at OS Reviews. You're watching a montage first look review of two pretty popular stage lights, also can act as decoration holiday lights. The first one here on the right is by Amzdeal. It's called the 12-watt RGB Magic Ball Stage Light, and it rotates and has multiple colors, goes through this prism. But what's really unique about this compared to previous versions that we've seen that are pretty similar is it also has an array of LEDs all the way on the ring on the base. So there's two places for the light to come out of, which creates this very interesting glow. The cable here also tucks neatly into the bottom base, which can also be mounted onto a wall, and a pretty simple plug on the other end. There really isn't any other tools on here in terms of syncing it with music or plugging it into another light source. So it's a very simple plug-and-play solution, also a fairly inexpensive version. The one on the left here is also another LED light, but it has various colors that are preset to red, green, and blue. It will strobe and turn on. You can also change the color on this. What's unique about this version, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, is that you can actually sync it to music source. So you can insert it as well as connect it to other lights and program it a bit more. So it's a bit more complex, although the effect of the light, in my opinion, is nowhere as cool as the one on the right. It's just a very simple LED light that's bright, but also not as bright as laser. So it's a lot more generic, but at least it is something that might be of more interest to DJs and people with a more professional setup. Construction quality on both are made out of plastic, so they're not the strongest quality in the world. They're both not waterproof, so if it rains or snows outdoors, you probably don't want to use it. It's really meant for indoor usage. Both can be mounted. Both have these brackets that are removable if you want to pick them up, and the size is also very similar between the two as far as the dimensions are concerned. So next I'm going to plug both into the wall socket and give you guys a quick demo of what it looks like. So here's the Amzdeal rotating LED light, and as the name suggests, it's actually very, very cool. The base of the light does swivel and change color patterns every so often. It goes from clockwise to counterclockwise, and each of the lights is programmable for multiple colors, so it really creates this very cool effect, especially if you have a flat surface or maybe at a dance floor. It actually is a lot brighter than expected, so it fills up spaces really well, even if there's a bit of ambient background light. The top of the light is a very dizzying kind of night effect that almost resembles a laser light. It's actually a lot brighter as well than I thought, so it hits ceilings and stays there very well. It slowly rotates along its base, so it goes in this very slow circle, sometimes changes its motion, and it also changes the color. So I'll show you that in a moment in terms of the ceiling projection, but I just really wanted to quickly show you here what it looks like on the floor, which again is very, very cool. As promised, here is the ceiling projection, so the part from the top, once you see it on a surface, creates this effect. The top base is what you're seeing as a circle, and the prism-like effects that you see swiveling back and forth is projected from the individual, the side hexagonal prisms emitting the light, so that they are tighter together at the bottom, and then they spread apart as it gets further onto the ceiling. So again, very cool, quite similar to laser projectors, but in this case it actually moves, and the light beams can change in terms of being really slim as well as very wide when it reaches the top of the ceiling's height. So here's the second one. Again, it's more meant as a stage lighting set, or if you know a bit more of how to program these, you can set it to strobe and change colors in a special sequence. But it doesn't have really a preset auto sequence that just simply shows off its effects for people just wanting to pick this up and using it immediately, which makes it, in my opinion, not as ideal for maybe the holiday season. But you can see here, indeed, there's the primary colors in a very bright layout, although the light is a little bit more of a matte texture. It's not as really, in a pinpoint brightness. It's more of this kind of flashlight effect or a torch effect that casts this effect. And there's a bit of a fan as well that prevents it from overheating. And on the back, you have these individual controls for, again, kind of changing the tone as well as the setup. So again, you can kind of program things this way, and you can see that I can change what colors are showing up. The color temperature sequence can be altered, as you can see there, and I can change between individual lights being turned on or off, and also changing between various modes like flashing, strobing, changing it slowly, and maybe by sound activated, something like that. So a few more modes, a bit more programmable, but not as exciting in my opinion, not as dynamic for most folks. So anyways, that's been a quick video first look and first impressions review of two fairly low cost but interesting stage lights that you might want to pick up this holiday season. If not, they can also be used for a wide range of other purposes, but this has just been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews.